Hey everyone, welcome to Land Week Day 2. We are joined today by Max and Ryan, the guys over at PRYCD. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that aren't familiar with PRYCD, these guys, or Max and Ryan in general, I brought them on because they're absolute experts on market analysis and really put a lot of care and attention into their working with their clientele to make sure that their clientele have really rock solid market and data strategy going in. And launch control, we love that, because when people come in to launch control and they've got that rock solid strategy in place, the deals flow in really, really easily and really consistently. So I think this is going to be an awesome conversation. Before I hand the keys over to Max and Ryan, which I'm going to do in just a second, I just want to let everybody know, again, Land Week is sponsored by Launch Control. And if you want to connect with our team at any point, I'm going to leave a link here at the top of the chat for everybody to see. Go ahead and click on that, and you can connect directly with our team with any questions you have about connecting with the Launch Control network, or just getting started with text engagement for your business. And I'm also going to add a link into the chat here for our Facebook community at Launch Control, which is called the Investors Hub. So if you just want to join, ask questions, connect with other investors, and get access to educational material like this, that's a great way to do that as well. And then the last thing I'll say before we get into the agenda and kicking things off here today, use that live chat early and often during the course of this presentation. Ask whatever questions you have. The more questions you ask, the better these conversations tend to be. We'd like when Max and Ryan can go off on tangents and really dive into the gaps that you need filled in your business, the questions you have for standing up your market. So don't be shy about posting comments in there. We're going to get to everything either in the flow or in the Q&A session at the end. So our agenda today is pretty simple. Max and Ryan are going to do their thing. They really do a deep dive on market analysis and data best practices for you guys. Adam Peterson here from our customer success team is going to jump in and show us how to very quickly, in a live setting, show how to very quickly set up A/B testing using some of that market and data analysis that you've gotten from Max and Ryan, so you can really hit the ground running when you start your text engagement. And then we're going to finish this up by just doing we're going to take it for as long as your questions go. We'll make sure that we get to everybody and again, fill in any gaps that you've got. For Lance, for you who just posted in the comment, thanks for kicking the first one off. Yeah, this is a YouTube live event. So this is streaming both on Launch Control's YouTube live channel and as well on Max and Ryan's over at PRYCD. So just go to either of our YouTube channels and you'll be able to access the replay there. All right, Max, Ryan, you guys ready to do your thing?
Let's do it.
Ready.
All right, awesome, guys. Let's jump into it.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks again for having us. Yeah, really excited to kind of talk through some of our product today. So kind of at a high level, a quick introduction. I'm Ryan, one of the co-founders of PRYCD. And so what we're talking about today are going to be sort of the three main pillars of our product. So that's going to be our research, our lead generation, and our due diligence. And then once we kind of talk through a little bit at a high level, Max is going to go through a demonstration of each of these pages, each of these workflows, so you can kind of see firsthand what that looks like and some of the do's and don'ts going through that. So we'll jump first to the research page. And so with the research, what we've done is we've aggregated comps from 5 different data sources right now. These are sold and for sale comps that basically represent the current market state. This is when we're talking about comps, we're talking about specifically land comps. And then what we've done with those comps is create various metrics off of those that'll help you do a in-depth market analysis at a county level to understand, not just at a county level, but also at an acreage level, and understand what is going on in that market. How many comps are sold in a certain time period? What does the pricing analysis look like? And so all these various metrics are available to you through the research page. both in table format, so you can do some filtering and selections and sorting to get the market that you're looking for, and also visually presented through heat maps, which is a really cool way to sort of see on a national level like how the gradient of metrics change over the course of how you're setting your filters. One of the really other cool things with our comp database is we have this agent analysis tool. And so we've extracted all of the agents out of the comps and sort of done an additional agent metric table that kind of shows you what agents are the bigger players in each county, which we found to be extremely helpful in investing when you're trying to purchase property in a county that you might be new to, and understand, who are the agents that are working the most with these land comps. And so we're able to provide all of this data to you, both in the website, and then also for a couple of our plans, you're able to also export this data off of the site and sort of do your own analysis, with that raw data. Once you're done with that research phase, right, where you're kind of doing that initial market, trajectory, you're trying to figure out where you want to go. That's kind of what it'll segue perfectly into the next phase of the workflow, which is going to be our lead generation. So lead generation is sort of the meat and potatoes of the product. This is where you're going to pull that property and ownership data. You're going to get that pricing analysis. You're going to have our filtering and our formatting. These are going to be all the sort of steps that we take. So in motion, it looks like you found your market. You want to now drill down a certain owner type, a certain property type. We have some additional pricing metric filters on there to kind of tweak the results a little bit. And then you're able to move into, picking your results, selecting some of your add-on options. So this is going to be some of the tools that we offer, such as filtering for road access or filtering for topography. You're able to skip trace your data, et cetera. You're also able to add on free comps to every property. And then we do the kind of core piece here, which is our pricing. And what we do there is, by default, we have our geo pricing model. And what we're doing is for every property in that lead gen list, we are honing in on the sold and for sale comps directly around there that match the property's profile, and creating a pricing model that is best suited to that property. And so what we're trying to do is do a market analysis and come up with what the valuation of that property really is. Ultimately, when you go through this workflow, you go through our site and we'll deliver to you a CSV file that is a ready-to-use campaign, a campaign list of all the property owners with all the pricing information and any other details that you might need. The final kind of step in this process is going to be the due diligence, which is sort of when you have a qualified lead, you're ready to sort of, really dive in on this one property. It has a lot of the same functions and features that our export workflow does, but it really gets into the details of each of these features. And so we have our pricing analysis and overview. We have a comp table where you can see all the nearby comps listed in table format. You can see it in graph format. We have historical trends, so you can look over the past several years what the pricing has been doing at both a county, city, and geo level. We offer property insights, so you can see all the road access points, topography, flood zone, et cetera. We have points of interest. We have a subdivision pricing analysis table, which is a really cool feature that allows you to say, if I have like a 30-acre property, what is the market competition and price point at not just 30 acres, but at 25, 20, 15, 10, et cetera. So you can kind of get a sense of, if I were to subdivide this down to a certain granular level, what price point makes the most sense, what comps are doing the most work, that kind of thing. We also, again, provide that ownership point of contact through our skip tracing provider. So you can kind of have some additional touch points with that qualified lead. And so this is, like I said, those are really the three main pillars that we offer. We do have some other auxiliary features, but when we're talking about going from the market research to the lead generation and then finally the due diligence, so sort of the main focus that we want to bring to you guys today. And then I think, we'll go into a demonstration now.
Yeah.
Wants to show that.
Awesome. And I'll do that.
Cool. I have a ton of questions that I'm going to save for the Q&A, guys, but it's in terms of just business planning and really kind of having a strategy that you can execute on, there are a lot of toys to play with there. So I'm looking forward to the demo, and then I'll hold my questions for the end. But again, anybody that's listening, fill those questions in early here in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get to everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that, Michael and Ryan. But yeah, my name's Max Edson, one of the other co-founders of Price. So happy to walk you through a demo today. And what Ryan said, I mean, we are an all-in-one acquisition tool. So for those that don't know us, we want to make sure that we are your one-stop shop to make sure that you're not only getting the data quicker, but more efficiently and effectively. And so kind of the three pillars that Ryan mentioned earlier, the research, lead generation, due diligence, those all encompass that acquisition process, right? So we want you to go through this process, make informed decisions based off the data, and then go through that process quickly. So then you're really focusing on making those deals actually happen. So we're going to start off with the research. I don't know if we're going to go through all the strategies, but we will go through some strategies that'll help you at least give you a picture of how to utilize our tools and really kind of analyze different counties against each other. So first off, we're going to start off with the research. So if you come to our homepage, what you're going to want to do first is go under the More tab, and that's where you're going to find our research page. And so again, this is going to show you all the metric data across every county in the United States. And we have a table where you can kind of start filtering down to your criteria, and then you can see the results in the data table below. And we're going to go through all this stuff. And then below this, you have an agent data table, like Ryan mentioned earlier. And then we have all of our heat maps down below that kind of encompass all the metrics above. And so one way to go about how to find out, what county, there's so many counties available to try to target. One of the hardest things, if you're not sure, you can really get, analysis paralysis, is how do you determine which counties may be better than others to try to target first? Now, I'm a big proponent that you can make deals happen in any county. So really the main thing is getting those offers out there or talking to owners to try to sell. But if you do want to try to figure out which counties may be better than others to start mailing first, this is a great way to do it from a strictly analytical basis. So as an example, what I always recommend doing is starting at one specific state. And the reason why I say that is because, different counties and different states aggregate the comps differently. And so when you're really honing into one state, you really get a like versus like, apples to apples comparison. So for this example, let's start with Tennessee as my state. And I'm going to type in Tennessee in the criteria here. And you're going to see in the data table below, you're going to start seeing all the Tennessee counties. And so with that in mind, now you can start saying, okay, what kind of acreage range do you want to target, right? So all the metric data down below is going to go off of the acreage range you want to look at. So you can do all acreage ranges, and we split it up into a few different results here. So you can do 0 to 5, 5 to 20, and 20 plus. So for this example, I can do 20 plus acres here. And then all the data below is going to go off of that information. And so you can see if I were to go all acreages, it's going to change and shift. So for this example, we're just going to keep it all acreages here. And then you can see all the information below. And then another thing to note is that you can start to filter by these metrics. And so we have a whole bunch of metrics available, and you can visit the edit the visible fields in this table. And so this is all about setting up the data that you want to see first before actually filtering down anything. So these are all the different metrics that we can provide on the screen. And so it really gives you, a lot of information to go off of with everything. So if I wanted to go as one metric, sold to for sale ratio, I can click that. I have all my sold comps, days on market, parcels on market ratios. I can go and view all that information and maybe get some of them that I don't want to look at quite right now. And so it's a great way, again, to view all this information on the data table. And then from here, this is where you can start filtering down your results. And so again, this is going to be one way you can do this. And it's not the only way, it's just one way to kind of drive down results. And this way is going to be more about looking at comparative results. So we're not going to be looking at one metric and keeping that one strict ratio with, let's say, a sold to for sale ratio at 1 or 0.5. We're not going to look at a strict value. We're actually going to look and analyze what's going on in that state, and then really looking at kind of that median point, that 50 percentile point in that state, and putting a value off of that. So for example, let's go, supply and demand side. For the first filter we can add here is the sold to for sale ratio. And I'm going to say is greater than a certain value. And with that in mind, I don't know exactly what value that's going to look at this time. And so to figure it out, what I'm going to do is scroll down to the data, one of the heat maps, and then I'm going to plug in Tennessee. It'll zoom into Tennessee for me. And then I'm going to try to figure out what that median, that 50% median point is. So for this example, I'm going to look at that mean ratio of 0.38 here. And then I can go in the sold to for sale ratio, use that as my first starting point and see how much it filters out. So for Tennessee specifically, it's going to be a little on the higher side. So I'm going to keep moving that ratio up and seeing how much it takes out. So that was a little too much. And let's say that's about my 50 percentile point. So I know that about 50% or more of the counties have a sold to for sale ratio in this state above 0.65. So I can go back up to my filtering now and plug that ratio in. And then I can add another one. Before I do, I can run my filter and see how many counties remaining are there. So there's 44 counties remaining that met my criteria. And then from there, I can keep going on and on. So we just did a demand side. Let's do a supply side metric now as an example. So I'm going to do the parcels on market ratio next. So we want a lower parcels on market ratio. So there's less competition out there to deal with. And so I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go down, find my parcels on market ratio map, type in Tennessee on the side, zoom in, and then on my parcels on market ratio, I'm going to start at 0.06 as that mean ratio as my starting point, and then see what that does. So that actually filtered out quite a bit in Tennessee. So I'm going to move that number up. You can continue to move it up until it kind of fits that 50 percentile again. So let's go with this 0.09, and I can go and scroll all the way back up to the top, 0.09 in there, run my filter, and now I have 24 counties remaining. So you can continue to do this and filter down to the counties that somewhere around 96 counties in Tennessee. We've now filtered it down to 24 counties. And then from here, you can start to sort this table by the metric that you really agree with most, right? So let's say I want to make sure that the sold to for sale ratio is my most important metric. I can go to this list and then sold to for sale high to low. So now the counties that have the highest sold to for sale ratio are going to be at the top of the list. So I can continue to go through this. I can add more filters if I want, but this is a great way to really just figure out which counties are good for any state, right? We're not just putting hard values in here. We're looking at that 50 percentile. And so now you have the 50 percentile and above for sold to for sale ratio, parcels on market ratio. So only those top counties are the ones that are meeting that criteria. So you can go through this, again, play with the metrics here. But once you have this information, that's when you can use this to start your actual lead gen process. So if I wanted to go through here, and let's say Smith County, Tennessee was my the county that I wanted to target first on my list to download a list. From the homepage, all you need to do now is click on the price land tab, and that's going to take you to the start of our search page. And then again, this is going to start the lead generation process. So this is where you're going to really build a list. So again, this is going to be the research part. This is going to be the building part. So if I wanted to type in Smith County here to start, I can type in Smith County, Tennessee, and then get a count and see how many records there are. There's multiple different ways you can search on here. You can add multiple different counties at the same time. So if I wanted to do Smith County, I could click that plus button and then go back to the research, Trousdale, Macon. I could add multiple counties at the same time to this list and continue that forward if I wanted to. Or if I wanted to, I could use our Polygon Lasso tool to really hone in on Tennessee and target a specific area. Maybe Smith County is the top. Now you want to target somewhere within Smith County specifically. So it's a great way to go about it and to target now the location that you're looking for. But for this example, let's just keep it simple. Go Smith County, Tennessee. And then from there, this is where I can open up the advanced search criteria and then kind of build my criteria from here. So the best way to go about
Matt,
this.
can I jump in here for just 1 second, and then I'll let you get back to it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
from a marketer's perspective, what I find really fascinating about this is that you can go through and you can really very quickly set your marketing strategy based on your research strategy. So
Correct.
if you're filtering, you're adding those filters and you're looking for like your true sweet spot of where you're really, really confident, those are going to be the areas where you're going to find the exact kind of deals that you want. Consider that like the center circle, right? that could give you a very, very small but targeted group of leads that you could put your direct mail efforts to, which are going to be more cost prohibitive. And then you could loosen up those filters a little bit to widen the circle, and those additional names can become your starting point for text and call outreach, because you'll be able to filter down to the truly interested from that circle. So you're not spending all of your marketing capital on the volume play, but rather creating layered strategies and knowing where to plug in different marketing channels to get the best results from that overall pool.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the beauty of our platform, is that it's so functional and versatile for you to kind of use those different strategies like you're talking about. It's really, it's whatever strategy you can come up with, you can create here, which is really unique. If we have time, I can kind of show a few other ones to go over from the research to this page too. But yeah, it's really whatever you can come up with is what you can create out of it. And that's the beauty of the platform.
Can we get to just a really quick question from S. Cook? What's the difference on the platform between listed and for sale?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the sold for sale ratio is going to be everything out there on the given market. So it's sold, that's currently sold in certain period, and then what's been for sale in certain period. The sold to listed ratio is going to take an actual time snapshot in time of showing you what was, no kidding, sold and listed in that specific time period.
And just to expand on that. So when we create our database of all of the comps, we do it at almost like a snapshot in time. And so when we say a for sale comp, that's something that was for sale at the time that we basically pulled it into our system. And likewise with the sold, the listed, the nuance with the listed is that it's based on the date that the comp was actually listed, not the date that it was, has nothing to do with the date that we pulled it into the database. So we can kind of get some time-based metrics out of that, where we can see over a certain time period how many new comps, how many comps were sold versus how many new comps were listed on the market. Whereas the sold to for sale is more of a snapshot in time metric of how many current comps in the database are sold versus actively for sale.
Yeah, so it's a slight nuance, but it makes actually a pretty big difference when you're looking at it. So if you really want time metric data, the sold to listed ratio is going to provide that to you in a more accurate way. And so just for awareness, on the research page, if you're right above our data table, if you click the little question icon, we also list all the definitions for all the metrics here. So if you're ever confused on anything, you can click the question mark, read that, and that should hopefully give you a good understanding of each metric.
Awesome. And Shiloh Real Estate, we saw your question regarding the road access. I'm pretty sure that's coming up later in the demo, or pretty soon in the demo. So we'll just hold off for that.
Yep, we're going to get to that, and we'll be able to answer any questions with that as well. And just moving forward on this. So again, the rest is really, up to however you want to choose your alias that you're creating, right? The person that you're generating for. And so this is going to be a great way to be able to come up with filtering process of what you're going to go with next and everything. My mouse is kind of freaking out right now, but let me see if I can get it back for you. Okay, here we go. So just as a quick criteria, again, this can range by however you want to go about anything. But if I wanted to just throw in some information here, I can do that pretty quickly. Just some nuances of our platform, because we use different result rows on the next page and pricing. If we can do 100, if you want a true 100 or whatever the max acreage, put a 0.01, and that's what that value is going to be towards the end. So that's just a quick nuance. If you wanted to, do market price per acre, purchase price information, pricing characteristics, we provide all that information there, so you can kind of hone into the specific pricing that you want. There's a lot of different ways you can go about this, but just to keep it short and sweet, again, I'd play around. We have a YouTube channel that goes through all different features. You can add acreages, different acreage increments if you want. There's a bunch of different tools that you can use and leverage here. And then we show you land uses. One of the things that we see, just not only on our platform, but we see with other platforms with users trying to figure out, hey, how come this count on this platform has X records and your account has this records. And sometimes it's above, sometimes it's below. Really, a lot of the times it's just a different classification of how they're putting the records. And it just, all the data providers, they aggregate the information from the county assessor offices, and then they get funneled into different land use categories. So it's different. There's no uniform one way how to do it. But one way that I will say is that when you add a filter, get a count each time. See what that record count is. This is going to give you a really good understanding of how, first of all, the starting point of records, and then how it actually gets reduced over time. And then one thing to note, like I said, with the land uses, if you want to try other ones, we have other land uses that you can try to capture more records. Now, with that in mind, these are going to be majority of vacant land records. If you click the More tab, these are going to be actual residential land use codes. So the majority of them are going to be houses or any sort of structure. But with that being said, if you click single family residence or residential NEC and pair that with a living area square footage filter of 0, what we've seen is this creates a really good way to get rid of any structures, but potentially up the actual count of vacant land records that meet the rest of your criteria. And so it's a good way to go about it, and just a test to really maximize the amount of records that you're getting in an area, because you don't want to miss some of these records that could be falling into other categories. So it's just a good way to test that. And then you have your other owner filters that you can use. And a quick way to get records where the mailing owners are only in the US, you can go mailing state is, but instead of putting a state, you can put USA in there. That's just a quick tip to utilize on our platform. And then just continue to go through the filters, right? So if you wanted to not pull the county, only a specific zip code, I can go with the zip code is, and then type in that zip code or multiple zip codes spaced by a comma, or the same thing with the cities. So again, it's really versatile. We wanted to make sure that you can put all the information out here to really hone and fine tune your list. So once you have everything that you want and desire in here, you can get a final count if you want, or you can click search, and that's going to bring you to the next page. And this page is going to show you kind of general results and break it out into different acreage ranges for you to select and choose for download. So there's a lot of information on this page. First of all, we can show you the owner records that fall into each category, the total comps. We'll again show you the county, the state, the acreage range, and then just high level offer and market price per acres. This is what we consider to be our county level pricing scheme, which is our most broad level, where we just take comps from an entire county and acreage range to create that pricings. And so again, high level, it's just meant for a general idea of what you're looking at. And then you can hone into more of our more intricate pricing schemes that we have. And so if you click one of those results, and when you click one of these results, you're going to see the total record count come up. That's going to be essentially how you select all the records you want for download. So I can do a quick select, and they're going to basically pull all of them. And then you're going to see the pricing scheme here that you want. So we can choose geo pricing. That's going to be our most granular pricing scheme that acts somewhat like a Zestimate, where it's going to have a unique price for every single record in your list. Now, with that, we know that blind offers aren't the only thing that people do. Some people do neutral letters, some people do range letters, and we understand and we believe, again, there's no one right way how to do it. And so with that, if you're doing neutral letters, it's great to have a price in there, so when a lead comes back, you already have some sort of price point in mind and it's in your list so you can look at quickly. If you wanted to do blind offers, obviously, if you just do geo pricing, you could select your offer price here. And in your list, you're going to get, those customized offer and market price per acres that you can utilize and put right into your letter template, your text campaign, anywhere that you want. Now, if you want that in between an arranged offer, what you're going to want to do is click show offer price all increments. And what that's going to do is append additional columns to your list, where we're going to take the market price and then append in 5% increments all the way from 0 to 100% of that market price. So once you have that on your list, on your template or wherever your text campaign, all you need to do is select the percentages that you want, whether that's 25 and 75 or 30 and 60. And you can basically throw those numbers out there too quickly and easily. So again, we want to make sure that we're catering to all people and all their techniques out there and strategies. And that's the way you can go about it. Now, what's also cool about this page is that if before selecting any of the columns, or the result rows, and I wanted to look at the comps, I can do that by clicking on any of these boxes, clicking the for sale and sold comps button, and then really getting a feel for what's out there in the market in each range, right? So again, we pull from Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, Lands of America, and you could really get a feel for what everything is in here. So if I see 11 comps, I can check that box, click the for sale and sold comp button, and then see all the comps in here and sort and filter however I want. Now, if you're a Bronze Plus or Gold member, you can click Export Comps, and we can actually download this into a CSV file for you to view that information in Excel for additional research analytics. And we also provide you with the lat long zip code information in there. So it's just a bonus to have. But once you're ready on this page, let's say you've selected all your information that you want, click Continue. We can move on to the next page. And this is essentially where you're selecting the columns that you want on your final list. So the ones that are checked will end up in your price final list. The ones that are unchecked will be in the raw file, but not in your final list. And so again, it's just a way to customize the file when you receive it. And what's great about this is that you can create a template. And so when you get to this, I can just go basically go down to my drop down and basically click the template that I want and add it and apply it really quickly and easily. And if you're curious what any of the columns mean, again, the question mark will give you all the information there for you to view. So once you have that, click Continue again. The custom scrub filters. This page is going to be a page that are additional filters that the data provider cannot provide on their own. So we essentially create our own filtering process so that when you receive your list, it is cleaned up and ready to go. And that includes any blank owners, right? Any church owners, government owners, trust owners, and all the lists on here that you can basically select. And so that when you receive your list, that's our one sole purpose, is make sure that it's ready to go so you can send it and you're getting this information quickly and effectively, and it's formatted as you want it to. So you want to click Continue once you're ready here. And then this is one of the final pages before actually exporting your list. And this is where you have a bunch of options. So just on the standard options, you can remove duplicate owners. If you do geo pricing, we have this split pricing option where you can basically filter out any records that we weren't confident enough to price at the geo pricing level. So we've reverted them back, and you can get a secondary look before adding them to your list. And then what Ryan mentioned earlier, you can add the 5 nearest sold comps and add the 5 nearest for sale comps for every record in your list right to your data file. So when you receive it, you get the links to them, you can look at them and double check everything right there. So it's a quick and easy process to go about it. And then on the add-on side, this is where you can really start to, leverage the data and really make some important headways in it to fine tune your list further, right? So skip tracing data, you can skip trace your data, and we will provide instantaneously up to 5 different phone numbers and emails for every record in your list that gets a hit. So there's no delay in time. When you get your list from us within minutes, there's the skip tracing data already in there. So if you use a platform like Launch Control, all you need to do is drag and drop it in their system. And I believe Michael's going to show how that looks like after this. It's just a quick and easy, and again, an effortless process. The other one we have is generating a campaign map. So if you're curious what your record, your campaign looks like on a map, we can give you this in the form of a KML file. And that KML file, all it is just compatible with Google Earth. So you upload it to their system, and you can view all your property records and for sale and sold comps on a map really quickly and easily. People pair this with Parlay 2.0. So not only do they get the records on a map, they get the for sale and sold comps on a map, but they actually get the property information on the map too. So it can be a really cool tool just to leverage your campaign. And for any one of these add-ons and any of these features, if you click the learn more, it's going to give you more information and some examples of what it actually looks like. So if I'm going a little fast, I understand there's a lot of information. If you click those learn more buttons, it's going to give you more insight into those. The last 2 add-on options are our newest options, and they are just property insights. So a big one in the space recently is checking road access. And so if you check this option, we will remove those records in your list that don't have physical road access. Not only will we do that, but you'll still be able to get those records. We move them to a separate file that gets scrubbed out. And so you can see all the information there between the records that are in your list that have physical road access and the ones that don't. Now, again, this doesn't cover easements, so be aware of that, which is also why we provide you with the records that get scrubbed out, so you can always check on that. And the way that works really nice and easily is because for every record, we also provide you with the WKT boundary, which is just essentially a set of coordinates for each property boundary. So you can just copy and paste them. There's a bunch of, if you just type in WKT viewer in any sort of URL or website, or like in Google, they'll pop up, and you just have to essentially copy and paste those coordinates in, and it'll show you the property boundaries right there quickly and easily. And then the last one we have is checking topography. So this is going to be a big one where, okay, you have a property, but is it buildable? What's the topography look like? Is it just on the side of a cliff? We don't want those properties. Although we know some people that make a living on buying those properties. But if you want buildable properties, this is a great way to check what that buildability is. And so in our instance, we use about 10% grade. So anything 10% grade or lower is considered buildable. So if we want to make sure that at least 50% of that property has buildable area, we can do that and filter out all the properties that don't meet that criteria. Furthermore, we're also going to provide you in different baskets of what the grade of the property looks like in your list as well. And so if you want to, again, an example of this, you can download that and get a really good feel of what that looks like. Other than that, you can sort the records how you want. If you want a custom reference number or a label, I can do this. And so like this is, I can't remember what county I did now, but let's say it's Smith County. I think that's what I did. Yeah, Smith County. I can type that in there as the file label. And then if I wanted a custom reference, I could do AFK-101. And so when I get my list, it's going to be AFK-1001 and then AFK-1002 and so on. Again, our whole premise is to make sure that you have a list that basically you can get and send out quickly and easily. So it's already formatted, it's cleaned up and ready to go. And you could always preview it, but once you have that, all you need to do is check out, and then you'll get a list emailed to you within minutes typically. And so that's a great way to go about it. And that's really the end of the lead generation process.
And before, yeah, Max, Ryan, I want to make sure, because Adam and I are going to show a very basic setup of how to import the data and quickly set up an A/B test. But I would really encourage everyone to get very creative in how you think about these data search parameters and the things that you can do to create really smart A/B tests. So I'll give you a simple example of how you can use marketing to really reduce risk in your business and hone in your strategy. So for those properties that have road access, right? If you just layer that with that pricing tool that you have that gives those percentage increments of what you could potentially offer, right? You can go in using a text engagement. Say you have 1,000 properties that have frontage or highway access. You start texting those. You break them up into offer groups, right? Like these are people that once I get them on discovery, I want to talk about offering, say, 20% of value. I want to talk about offering in the next group 25% of value, and you're willing to go up to say 30% of value. And you break those into subgroups. So when you actually get them to engage via text, you know exactly where you want to take them in terms of an offer, and you see what hits. And if you find out that the lowest tier, you offered them 10% of value or less, 20% less, and you just get no bites, no takers whatsoever, you know that that's too low for a blind offer that you're going to send out via a more targeted direct mail campaign down the line. But if you're getting tons of bites from that middle group, and you know that that's a really good deal for you, you can turn a pretty high profit on that, then you can take additional data pulls from that area that meet that criteria, and you can set up a targeted direct mail campaign that you now know falls within a range that is piquing people's interest and also equals a high profit structure for your business. So you're taking the what ifs out, you're taking the risk out, and you're just going with a now proven strategy that you were able to use case test via launch control to move into your other marketing avenues.
Yeah, exactly. And the beauty about some of the filtering is we're with the road access and the topography, we're creating a really refined list, right? We started really wide with a state, honed into a county, and now basically a certain profile of a property. And with that, those are going to be kind of your golden properties that you want to go off of. But the ones that get scrubbed out now, because that, like Michael said, you can do even an A/B test between the ones that have road access and the ones that don't, and offer them differently. Because you get a lot of people that follow the herd in the space, right? There's always a different filtering process. So if everyone is not only filtering and basically sending texts or letters or anything to properties that only have road access, that creates an opportunity to go after some of them that don't. And so maybe there's an easement, or you can create an easement for that property. And so there's really endless possibilities to go about that. And I know
it's also a question. I know you guys really help people connect with brokers in the area. And when you get to know the brokers in the area and what the end buyers are looking for, you even have the ability with some of those filtered out properties to meet a very specific niche demand. So if you find out that, for instance, there is a contractor in the area that's looking to build, like, let's say it's a kind of mountainous area, and they're looking to build a resort, they're looking at places that have slope, because they're going to build just like small kind of cabins that a lot of which have a view, and you know that there's a specific need for this. You can go out and find that property for them and upsell it big time in order to fill that. So it's a couple of text campaigns just to gain interest from that smaller list. If you're able to get them on the phone, what does it take you? Half an hour, an hour? And it could potentially equal tens of thousands of dollars, if not 100,000 or more, depending on the type of the amount of property that end buyer is looking for.
Absolutely. And then I know you guys are going to present. I did want to go over just our due diligence really quickly here, because it's an important piece. And so once you get the leads out with launch control or wherever you're doing your marketing, and now you start getting the leads back to really vet them, the comp report is going to be a huge value to use. And so all you need to do for this when you get leads back is plug in the state, county, and APN of a property, run the report, and you're going to get a detailed PDF file and a KML file. As a sample, the PDF report is going to show you just a ton of information that ranges from public property data to, pricing and owner characteristics and agents, kind of how Ryan mentioned earlier in the overview. But this is your way to really vet the property. And so, what does the information look like? When was the last sold? What is the date? What is our suggested price? But not only our suggested price, which is our geo price, but what is it at the city level, at the county level? How do those vary? Is there a nuance in there or something that kind of peaks out that may be changing stuff? So it's your way to basically test for reason, to look at all this, all the comps, the sold comps, for sale comps. What's that average price per acre? What's the average distance away of the comps? So you can really see all that information right here, some charts, to really formulate an idea of, okay, I sent out these offers, or maybe I'm getting a lead back and they want an offer. What can I actually, what's the market value, and what can I reasonably offer them back to make money or a profit in some sort of way? So it's a great way to look at the comps. We'll give you all the links to everything, both for sale and sold. You can see an agent overview. So now that you have a property, let's say you want to go forward with it, or you want an agent to look at the property as a confirmation, you can see the top agents in the area and what they're doing, right? So now I can go and plug this person into Google, and I can now go and talk with him and see, what he thinks about the property. And so it's a great way to, just vet everything from yourself, the pricing, the agent, everyone. So when you go and purchase that property, if it meets your entire criteria, you're really confident to do that, right? So the pricing trends, what's it been doing over the last couple of years? Where do we think it's going? There's a lot of information. There's the slope breakdown of the specific property, the min slope, max slope, total buildable area. And then again, like that, buckets of what percentage is within each slope. The septic breakdown, is there a possibility for it to have, to perk? Is it not? This is just an estimate. I would always recommend going with an actual soil scientist to, verify 100%, but it's a great way to just get a quick feel. Road access points. Where are the points? Maybe you're missing one, and maybe this data is telling you, oh no, there actually is a road here. I know I've done it several times where I've just missed it because of trees or something else in the way when I'm just viewing it online, but then I can see that there's coordinate, and then sure enough, there is actually access there. And then you get flood zone information, and then points of interest around the property. So again, this is going to take everything and encompass it into one document so you can view and really make informed decisions, right? If you need to negotiate with a buyer, you have different offer price percentages, right, of market value. So you can go through and see what, different prices look like. If you can't get the price low enough, can you subdivide the property? If it's a 32-acre property, what if I split up into, where's that point where the price point actually goes up a lot? So if, maybe instead of 32, maybe I want to do 2 acres, or if you want to stay above a certain acreage threshold, you can still, get away with it at 10 acres. So it's a great way to look and see what opportunities are out there, not just to flip it, but maybe subdivide or wholesale. And so you want to present everything that you can possibly do along with our pricing rationale. We will give you skip trace data if it's available, and then just the boundary information. And so this is kind of a cool, unique way. If you're using a drone pilot to take video or pictures, you can actually provide them with this WKT string, which is just the boundaries coordinates of the property, and they can overlay that on their pictures. So, and then we give you an estimated acreage too. And again, all this information is on the PDF file. The KML file we provide you is just able to be uploaded to Google Earth, so you can visually see all this information as well. And you could toggle filters on and off accordingly. But it's a great way to, again, go through this process, make sure that it's the exact property you want, and now you're really confident and informed to go and acquire it. But that's really, again, the three-pronged approach of our site. From there, again, if you're working on launch control, now you can, shoot them a text and say, yep, we're good to go with that. But this is really going to give you an overview of everything. Ryan, did I miss anything that you wanted to cover?
I think you got a lot of it. I think like I mentioned earlier, we do have some auxiliary features like APIs, list uploads, some scrubbing tools. We won't go into too much detail on those, but they are all available through our site. You can kind of find them there in the menu bar. Yep. Thanks, Max.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. So everyone, we're gonna get your questions in just a minute. Adam, you want to go ahead and pull up launch control? We're gonna do a quick 5-10 minute demo to show you how easy it is to set up these A/B tests. And just keep in mind, the version that we're going to show here is, again, pretty basic, right? But if you look at all of that market analysis and data filtering that's available via Price, that gives you this incredible ability to run very, very niche tests to see what's hitting in your markets. Everyone in every market is going to text the hell out of and mail the hell out of anybody that has back due taxes, anybody that has money worries, right? That's going to be the low hanging fruit for everyone. So the question becomes, how do you go several layers deeper? And everything that Max and Ryan just went over gives you the exact roadmap to how to pull that data and kind of chase down your own what ifs. And then launch control gives you the ability to get answers to those what ifs, where you're sending out the A/B tests, you're finding out what's coming back, what's generating conversations. Once you have those conversations, you can continue texting based on that strategy. You can employ other marketing tools like PPC or direct mail that are more passive, but now you're doing it with a proven strategy behind it. So it's, there was 1,000 what ifs that they just went over, any one of which you can A/B test in launch control. Adam, you can go ahead and share the screen. I'll add it now. The last thing I want to say before I hand the keys over to Adam here for the next 5-10 is that if all you want to do here is come up with what ifs and you want us to execute that for you, we can do that. Launch Control has a done for you service called Launch Leads. So I'll post the link again to connect with our team in just a minute. Ask them about Launch Leads. And then all you have to do is just hand us the strategy that you want to use and the data set that you've gotten from Max and Ryan, and we'll execute the strategy to find out what ifs are hitting and which aren't. All right, Adam, take it away, my friend.
Okay, so this will be just the basics. Just a second, please. Okay, this is a demo account. You can all see the screen, right? So we have a very robust system of importing the data, and it's rather easy. You just click on this blue button over here, and we have priced list. I do suggest starting the segmentation right from the get-go, so right from the list. You can name the list right away according to the property you're targeting or the type of end buyer. and so forth is going to be for farming, for subdividing it, building single family homes, whatever. And you just need to click over here. You import the list. You click on these small details over here and just next. Okay, so there is a template that we usually use for it. This particular list is a little bit more complex, but it's still easy to import it. You can see the fields here that are available. So we just need to go here and map these fields. First name, let's say owner first name, last name, owner last name. We need to find an email. So it's sometimes, depending on the original list, it can take a minute or two, right, to map everything out. Just a second. Okay, email. Now the mailing address. So you see, it's quite simple. Of course, if you have a lot of fields like this, sometimes it takes a minute or two to sort through it all, right? Now the mailing city, mailing state, the zip code, property address, property city, property state, property zip, and of course the phone numbers. You can import up to 3 phone numbers per prospect. And now that's settled. We just click on import list. Of course, we have also specific land owner fields. Now APN, property county, and acreage. Should be this one, right? And then just click on import list. It may take a minute or two. And I will also tell you how the system works, right? So here you have the total number of rows. Oh, it's really fast. I think we managed to speed it up even further. You have total number of prospect, total number of mobile phones. As I said, you can add up to 3 phone numbers per prospect. Landlines are scrubbed. Of course, you cannot text landlines, but you can download them over here. Just in case you do cold calling, so you don't have to cold call everybody. You could just cold call the people over here. Litigators are scrubbed off. We have an internal DNC list that is, where we scrub off the prospects that decided to DNC their numbers. And here we have the number of existing matches. You can import a prospect only once into the system. Now that this is taken care of, we need to go to campaigns. Campaigns are like folders, let's say, where we place our lists. You can assign a few lists to a single campaign, although you cannot divide the list into different campaigns. Over here, you can continue with the segmentation. You click here, create a new campaign. You enter the name, let's say priced. Let's say below 80 acres. You select the market. Let's select 184, just an example. And over here, you put in your call forwarding number. This is a number where all of the incoming calls from send messages will be routed to. You click on save, and there you go. The campaign is saved. Now, there is one more thing to do. We need to connect the campaign with the list. We go back here, click assign to campaign. And we just need to find the list. You can type here priced. And here it is. And that's it. So we have assigned the list to a campaign. So that's all it takes. And now that we're done with that, there's one more step to go. We need to go to the batches section. So batches are like a channel through which we will send these messages. You click on create new batch. You select the campaign, right? We made the price campaign. Now we're gonna search it. You select the template. Just for, an example, we'll choose this one. It's not a land template, but it will do. It's work for the demo. Oh, we have a land buyer template. We go to select batch size. In this case, we will select the batch of 50 prospects. But I do advise, if the list has more, rows, more potential prospects, choose the largest number here. The biggest number is 150 people per batch, and it's going to be easier to keep track of the KPIs. Then we just click here, and we're going to create the batch.
Yeah, so the only thing that I would add to that, guys, is in most cases, so in that example I gave where you have a list of 1,000 names and you've segmented it into a few different price structures and you want to see which one hits, then yes, you'd want to use the 150 batch. If you wanted to do something where you just wanted to see if a handful of data records in those sloped properties kind of fit what your buyer profile was, don't be hesitant to use 50. It's just a question of whether you are looking to filter initial interest or if you're being hyper targeted. So it gives you some flexibility to play around with that.
Yes, of course, it's quite flexible, right? And when create the batch, it will look like this, right? You have the name of all the contacts, their phone numbers. You can see if some of the phone numbers was scrubbed, like in these cases, and you have the template, the message preview. So you don't have to worry about the template. It's all done automatically. There will be a lot of different variations. So practically every prospect here will get a slightly different message, which will ensure really good delivery rates. And then you just need to click here 50 times, right, in order to send all of these messages. Once you completed this, you will be able to see it here in completed. Right? You can see how many messages was sent, the campaign, even the user who sent it. If you have different VAs, you will be able to see delivery rates, response rates, and of course the template that was used. So you can also keep track of the template, see which ones work better, right? Once you do this, you just need to go to the inbox and wait for the replies to arrive. I don't know, Michael, should we mention about tags and
we can skip the tags. The tags we went over this pretty in depth in our seminar yesterday, our workshop yesterday with Seth Williams at RE Tipster. So if you guys want to go back and rewatch that, Adam really got into how to create the custom tags and use them for a lot of the filtering that Ryan and Max outlined today, right? So you can use them to really filter down to those specific conversations you want to have on a specific day. But I did want to show this screen because when you're running those A/B tests and you have the ability to look into the campaign details and really see from a 50, 100, 150 message at a time groups of outreach, how well that outreach is performing and what's hitting. It's a common understanding in marketing that whatever you think is going to work, whatever is going to be the best headline, the best subject line for your email, the best marketing push that you've done, it never is. It's always something that you least expect is the thing that hits. And so when you A/B test like this and you try different templates like Adam showed and you try different data sets like Max and Ryan outlined, what you end up with is you find that your sweet spot isn't the sweet spot that you thought you were going to have. And so you go through this process and it really helps rise that to the surface so you know where to put your focus moving forward. Okay, so Max, can you go ahead and reshare your screen and put up that QR code that we had for everyone? I want to go through some of the questions that we have lined up here, give everybody a chance to ask what they wanted of you guys, and then we'll go ahead and wrap things up in the next probably 5-10 minutes, depending on how much of a tangent these questions end up being. So we got from S. Cook, we assume that the list uploads seamlessly to CRMs as well, such as Pebble.
Yeah, so the list upload. So yeah, so like if you were going to if you were to download a list with us, it seamlessly integrates with Pebble. They actually have a template already set up. So if you download a list from us, drag and drop into Pebble, then that all works seamlessly. If you have another data source and you want a list upload for pricing through our platform, you can absolutely use that too, and then seamlessly integrate that with Pebble. It'll be the same thing that you may not the template that they have with theirs may be different than downloading directly with us, because it'll be formatted with whatever data set you used. But we have many users that, and a good working relationship with Pebble, where they download with us and then upload with them for their full service.
So we've got Pebble. The guy, Kevin Rockwood from Pebble, is coming on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. He's going to be our keynote speaker for Land Week. So if anybody wants to listen in on that and ask some very specific questions about plugins with Price, you know, that would be a great opportunity to sit in and ask them directly. Our next question is from Shiloh Real Estate. The question is, you mentioned that the road access filter doesn't take into account whether an easement exists. Is there another feature of your software other than road access that will tell us about easements?
Unfortunately, right now, we don't have that. We are in the process of working on it. But yeah, the road access tool is really measuring physical access to those roads. And then we're in the process of looking into some kind of easement database or easement integration there.
Okay, I'm an absolute rookie here. So what is an easement?
Essentially, an easement is just an agreement that you can go across someone's land for access to your property.
Okay. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I forgot the
so
technology.
Yep. So there's tons of vacant land properties out there that don't have physical road access, and so they have easements to go to another, from the road to across another property to their property. And so sometimes the easements are big, sometimes they're small, sometimes they're hard to see, sometimes they're easy in the deed description. But like Ryan said, we're working on a way to extract that information from deeds to see. And unfortunately, there's no nationwide database that just shows where the deed or the easements are, but it's definitely something we're looking at. But again, having the road access filter that actually removes the parcels, and then paired with the WKT, the boundary coordinates that we provide, you can easily search them up and see how far away those properties actually are from the road. And then you can kind of get a better feel if it's potentially possible to create an easement or how easy that may be. So while there's not a way to do that right now, there's good potential ways in play to at least look and see if there may be.
Okay, great. James Clay has a few questions for you guys. Number one being, should I avoid targeting in-county owners and skip the time-owned filter entirely?
I can tell you, I mean, from a strategy standpoint, filtering standpoint, we try to stay pretty agnostic, to be perfectly honest, just because we've seen so many strategies. What I say is test out both and see what happens. It doesn't have to be a large test, but test it out. I will say we are land investors ourselves, and sometimes we buy properties that the owners are close by, and sometimes they sell it. We've had an owner sell it in spite of their brother because they didn't, want it, and so they sell it. So we always look at it as more of an event-driven business rather than potentially space away from the parcel. And so there's something driving usually each seller or owner to sell their property, and it's sometimes it is distance away and they can't get there all the time, but other times it's it's something else impacting their life where they just need to sell and would like the money or just to have it off their hands. So I would say recommend test both. I don't know if Ryan has anything else.
Yeah, and again, Launch Control gives you a very, very low cost way of testing those what ifs and finding out if it's going to stick or not before you contribute any larger marketing dollars towards it. So, whatever you're, chase what makes you curious, see what hits, and it's not going to cost you much to do it via the active ways of sending a text or making a call. The next question from James is, your land tool already removes outliers. Does it make sense to do further filtering to the suggested price?
Yeah, we do have the sort of manual filtering. We don't necessarily, recommend one way or the other. I would say that we do a pretty good job internally of handling all of the comp database and all the pricing sort of modeling around removing outliers, removing, properties where we don't feel, meet the criteria, already pre-selecting the listing sources that we feel, provide us the best possible data. And so what we recommend, generally speaking, is if you are not familiar with sort of the pricing internal workings, or you maybe don't have your own sense of how to do it, just kind of leave it as is, and because our model's sort of tailored to the data that we have available. But if you feel that you have a better sense of some sort of the mathematics behind it, we do offer some interesting filters around the distribution skew and that kind of thing, removing certain sources. But we will caveat that by saying that occasionally what we've seen is when that happens, the pricing can sort of get out of whack. It kind of becomes a little bit unstable, and it's hard to sort of backtrack and sort of figure out why when some of the parameters are adjusted or sources are removed. A lot of times it's that there's a lack of data. Now you've created a sort of a gap in data, and that creates a challenge when it comes to modeling at that point.
And then Shiloh Real Estate had a clarification question. To clarify my first question about road access, do a lot of counties provide data about whether road access exists? How does Price know whether a property has road access?
So we're talking about physical road access. What we're doing is actually integrating with Google Earth and Google Maps, and then we are just establishing property boundary lines against known roads. And then what we're doing is figuring out whether those properties are actually, up against those roads and have that physical touch point access. As far as do counties provide that information, generally speaking, no. They may have. So we do see sometimes in data sources they'll have like a road frontage piece of information, or to that something like that. But in a lot of counties, it's almost always empty or blank. It's not filled in. It's not known, even though that field is available. And then as far as, we kind of talked about earlier, like easements, that's kind of more attached to the deed. Then so the county's not necessarily providing like hey, here's all the easements we have available in our county. It's more of a property by property basis.
All right, great. So that wraps up the questions. If anybody has any last minute ones, pop them in. What you have on screen here is to connect with Ryan and Max, learn more about Price and how it can benefit and be integrated for your business. So I'll give everybody just a minute here to capture that QR code if you want. It's also, of course, this replay is going to be available, so you can freeze screen and grab that at any point. And then Max, in just a sec, can you switch to that second QR code that we have? Yeah, there we go. And if you want to get started with launch control, here in the chat, I've posted the link that I posted will just go directly to book a time with our team. You can do that today, even if you want. Make sure that you ask them about new subscriber discounts and if it's a good fit, launch leads. And if you want to get to it later, scan this QR code and book a time kind of at your leisure and connect with them that way. But we'd love to be able to help you guys, as Adam and I were showing, set up some A/B tests to really hone in the data that you pull from Max and Ryan and come up with strategies for your business that really return a ton of ROI. All right, so if there are no more questions, going once, going twice, I'm going to let Ryan and Max off the hook and just thank everybody for coming today. A quick reminder as the last thing, we've got tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, we've got Jaron Barnes from the Land Maverick Society joining us to talk about the power and importance of community in land investing. On Thursday, we've got, as I mentioned, the team from Pebble coming on to talk about CRMs and systems. And then we're wrapping things up on Friday with Callan Faulkner from REI Optimize, who's going to go over how to implement the newest AI tools. I don't know if she's making any changes after all the headlines yesterday, but all the new AI tools into your business for peak efficiency and returns. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate it so much. Max and Ryan, you guys are awesome. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Big help for everyone that was here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And
Thanks
Adam, thank you, my man.
Thank you too.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. All right. Well, I'm going to let everyone go. Thanks again. And yeah, we'll connect soon. Bye.
Bye.